Chapter 50-22. The master behind the Jiang family, that. I have heard of that, but I have never seen him before. You guessed correctly. The reason why we are willing to stay is mostly because of the promise given to us by the master behind the Jiang family, and some other reasons. As Lu Sanzong spoke till here, he brushed past this part of the reason. Then he continued, as for the person you saved last night, seems to be called Long Yunjian. He is someone whom the two elders of the Jiang family asked us to go to the slums to capture. I heard that person seems to be on the side of the master behind the Jiang family, but he betrayed that side. And even stole the master's very important thing, so he was chased by the Jiang family. After the Dark Void Hall inquired about Long Yunjian's news, they went over to capture him and locked him up in the headquarters. The two elders of the Jiang family said, when they return to the Jiang family, they will bring him back. Then what happened last night happened. Yi Qing Luo's question. Lu Sanzong's answer was very comprehensive this time. Yi Qing Luo's slender fingers touched her chin. That Long Yunjian. What did he steal? This. I don't know. Lu Sanzong hurriedly shook his head. The people from the Dark Void Hall had already stripped him naked, but they didn't find the thing that the elders wanted on him, and the elders didn't say what it was. Yi Qing Luo's brows sunk slightly. Stripped. Naked. If Ah Zhan was awake. How could the arrogant him bear such an insult? Her human dragon was actually trampled by the Dark Void Hole. She had been too gentle with her poison. Lu Sanzong was frightened by the gloomy aura emitting from this young and innocent-looking young lady, so much so that the cold air in his body became even more chaotic. He hurriedly sprawled on the bed. What I said is all true. I really don't know. Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips tightly, as her slender fingers curled up one by one. Just as she was about to explode. A broad palm stretched over and wrapped around Yi Qing Luo's little hand. Slender jade-like fingers opened Yi Qing Luo's tightly clenched fingers, soothing her emotions. Yi Qing Luo's eyes met with the man's sapphire, gentle eyes. Yi Qing Luo's heart suddenly calmed down. She lowered her eyes and stared at their interlocked hands. The coldness in his eyes gradually dissipated. She curved her lips and looked at him with her charming eyes. Her current goal. She wanted to get the information she wanted from Lu Sanzong. If her emotions could not remain calm because of Lu Sanzong's words, they would also lose the best opportunity to question him. Yi Qing Luo calmed herself down and raised her eyes indifferently as she looked at Lu Sanzong. I heard that you are still tracking a woman's whereabouts. That person is Miss Feng of the Feng clan. When Yi Qing Luo spat out the words, Miss Feng, Lu Sanzong suddenly sat up straight and looked around nervously. This news, how did you know? Of course I have my ways. Yi Qing Luo's dainty and picturesque brows sunk slightly with a tinge of coldness. What's your motive for pursuing Miss Feng? We didn't. Lu Sanzong subconsciously wanted to refute. However, when he saw the coldness in the depths of the young girl's eyes, his retort was stuck in his throat. Chapter 50-23. First Master, I know the real reason why your Dark Void Hall is so domineering. Yi Qing Luo didn't bother with his nonsense. On the surface, you are under the orders of the Jiang family's aristocrats to disrupt the God Realm's order, but in actual fact. The cold arc on her pink lips deepened. Dark Void Hall is so ostentatious, just to make it easier to track down that Miss Feng. I'm very curious, what's the reason for Dark Void Hall to track down Miss Feng's whereabouts? Your Dark Void Hall. Or should I say, the master behind the Jiang family's aristocrats. What's your motive? The young lady's deep voice became increasingly husky. There was also a strange charm to it. After Yi Qing Luo finished saying these words, Lu Sanzong's face instantly turned pale. His face sunk as he slowly leaned his back against the headboard. He had no intention to speak again. Yi Qing Luo gave a light laugh, as her delicate brows revealed traces of ridicule and playfulness. The current Lu Sanzong. Apparently he was terrified. As though saying it out would cost him his life. But to deal with someone like Lu Sanzong, Yi Qing Luo felt no pressure. Her slender fingers flicked, a white jade porcelain bottle appeared in her hand. The porcelain bottle contrasted well with her jade-like skin. It made that porcelain bottle even more crystal clear. When the white jade porcelain bottle was taken out, a flash of white light flashed past Lu Sanzong's eyes. Lu Sanzong's body stiffened, staring straight at the white jade porcelain bottle in Yi Qing Luo's hand. Yi Qing Luo smiled lightly as she shook it. Lu Sanzong's vision also shook. His breathing was slightly hurried. As though he knew what was in this white jade porcelain bottle. This is my last question. After Yi Qing Luo shook the bottle, she kept it in her palm, blocking Lu Sanzong's vision. And you, after you answer this question, the antidote is yours. This is really the antidote? Lu Sanzong's eyes widened, looking greedily at Yi Qing Luo's hand. Of course. Yi Qing Luo nodded with a smile, but don't try to snatch it from me. After all, you should be clear, my husband's ability. Lu Sanzong's greedy gaze congealed slightly. Then, slowly returned to Yi Qing Luo's face. He clenched his fists tightly. All right, I do know the reason why the Jiang nobles want to pursue that Miss Feng. But, I only overheard it. Whether it's true or not, I'm not too sure. I heard that the young miss of the Feng family has something that the master wants. As for that master, he needs Miss Feng to remove his seal. Swish, bang. A few gusts of cold wind blew over. Murderous aura burst forth. Dmo Xian's sharp senses detected it, and he held on to the young lady's slender waist, pulling her into his embrace as his figure flashed. Ah! A blood-curdling scream was heard. Lu Sanzong's body fell from the ice bed to the ground. A long arrow pierced through his neck. Someone was stopping Lu Sanzong. Yi Qing Luo and Dmo Xian exchanged glances and speedily looked towards the direction of the long arrow. He saw fourth elder Jiang standing not far away with a cold face. Seeing that Yi Qing Luo and Dmo Xian had discovered him, he had no intention of avoiding her. Instead, he sneered and threw the longbow in his hand to the ground. Dmo Xian held onto Yi Qing Luo's waist and flew over. Fourth elder Jiang's eyes stared fixedly at Yi Qing Luo. Who exactly are you? Why are you inquiring about the dark void hole's matters? As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will always be victorious. Yi Qing Luo smiled carelessly. The dark void hall can chase after me. Why can't I inquire about the dark void hall's matters? Chapter 50-24. But the things you've inquired about seems to have nothing to do with the dark void hole. Fourth elder Jiang's face was sinister. Yi Qing Luo calmly curved her charming eyes. No choice who asked the person behind the dark void hall to be your Jiang family's aristocrats. If I destroy the dark void hole, and your Jiang family comes to bully me, what should I do? Of course I have to plan for the consequences of me destroying the dark void hole. Yi Qing Luo's explanation sounded reasonable and reasonable. Fourth elder Jiang clenched his fist. That greenish-gray face was extremely ugly. Young lady, do you really think our Jiang family's aristocrats are all fools? His eyes were sinister, like that person. He took a look at Dmo Xian and continued, his strength has far surpassed most of the aristocrats in the god realm, even the experts of the royal family. If there really is such a powerful person in the god realm, how is it possible that he only revealed his strength at the golden hour? Yi Qing Luo's expression didn't change at all, holding her man's hand, her fingertips fiddled with his fingers and smiled sweetly. My husband is happy, does it bother you? The young lady's actions and tone. Both were obviously disapproving and ridiculing. Fourth Elder Jiang was fuming. But he also had misgivings about the existence of the man named Chao Yun. He stared at Yiqing Luo, as if he wanted to stare out her soul. Happy. He spoke out the results of his investigation word by word. Chao Yun, the son of the Chao family. Mu Yu, an orphan who escaped from the village, adopted by the Chao family without parents. When they heard Fourth Elder Jiang say their names, they were stunned. Yiqing Luo's calm face suddenly congealed, her long and narrow eyes revealed a bit of fierceness as she looked at Fourth Elder. You investigated us. Fourth Elder Jiang snorted coldly and continued, the son of the Chao family, fell in love with an orphan. This marriage, the Chao family's patriarch didn't seem to agree with it, and it caused a huge commotion. Now, because of the two of you, the Chao family's patriarch is seriously injured in bed. What a pity. What a pity, the two of you are out touring, enjoying yourself. Fourth Elder Jiang sized up the two of them. His eyes were filled with probing and hatred. He gently twitched the corner of his mouth. His words were cold as he spoke of his ultimate goal. You. I'm afraid you're not the son and daughter-in-law of the Chao family, right? As Fourth Elder Jiang finished his words, the pretty girl's expression grew colder and colder. Especially when he heard the words, the master of the Chao clan was seriously injured in bed. Her fair fingers were clenched into fists. It was as if he was going to throw a punch in the next instant. That pair of long and narrow eyes surged with raging flames of anger. If I'm not, then don't tell me you are. Yiqing Luo's lips twitched slightly as her eyes were filled with a chilly intent. She stared straight at Fourth Elder Jiang's face and smiled maliciously. Fourth Elder Jiang, rather than meddling in our family's affairs, why don't you take care of your own health? You are forcefully suppressing the poison. How much longer can you last? I forgot to tell you, this kind of poison. The more profound energy is used, the faster it spreads. I see that the corners of your eyes have already turned gray. I'm afraid that you won't be able to live for long. The young lady's voice was soft. But the words that she spat out were extremely chilly and maliciously. Her pink lips curled up slightly, forming a mischievous cold arc. Fourth Elder Jiang laughed out loud. He raised his hand and flipped his palm. A white jade porcelain bottle appeared in his palm. Chapter 50-25. That was the antidote which Yiqing Luo had given to Lu Sanzong earlier. When did Fourth Elder Jiang take it away? Yiqing Luo's gaze swept past Lu Sanzong's corpse. Indeed, the white jade porcelain bottle had disappeared from the bedside. Young lady, you're still too tender. After he finished his words, he opened the white jade porcelain bottle abruptly and drank the liquid inside in one gulp. Until he had finished the contents of the bottle. He then smashed the porcelain bottle heavily onto the ground. His eyes were scarlet with malice. Young lady, I am not that kind of idiot like Lu Sanzong, trying to use the antidote to lure me into the trap. Ha ha ha. Yiqing Luo had no intention to stop him from the start. It was until Fourth Elder Jiang smashed the porcelain bottle that she casually raised her slender brows as her charming eyes curved. Oh. Why do I feel that? Fourth Elder Jiang is even dumber than First Master? She chuckled softly, her brows were filled with bright dimples. Fourth Elder Jiang's smile froze as his face sunk bit by bit. Yiqing Luo continued to smile. Fourth Elder Jiang, the one who is really tender is you. What do you mean? Fourth Elder Jiang's face turned steely green and extremely ugly. The young lady raised her hand, her fair fingers gently covered her pink lips as she gave a mocking laugh. Fourth Elder Jiang really thought that is the antidote. Not the antidote. Fourth Elder Zhang's gloomy and malicious eyes stared at Yiqing Luo and then swept a glance at Lu Sanzong's corpse. He clenched his fists. No, impossible. You're saying this on purpose, right? His goal is to disrupt this elder's judgment. If you think this way, it will make you feel better, then go ahead. Yiqing Luo spread out her hands with an indifferent look. Your body is your own, your body's reaction can't lie to anyone. Fourth Elder Zhang's face was steely green as he looked down at his own body in disbelief. He clenched his fists tightly. But there was no energy in his body at all. Even the poison which was suppressed earlier. It broke through the suppression at this moment. Convulsions and heart-wrenching pain instantly invaded Fourth Elder Zhang's body and mind. It also made Fourth Elder Zhang bend his high and mighty knees and kneel on the ground. Fourth Elder Zhang's body convulsed violently. His ghastly face was now completely black. Yiqing Luo brought Dmo Xian along as she walked out of Lu Sanzong's room, walking straight towards Fourth Elder Zhang. Fourth Elder Zhang fell to the ground, struggling and twisting. Yiqing Luo gave out a low laugh as she looked down at Fourth Elder Zhang from a high vantage point. Her eyes were filled with a chilly intent with some sarcasm. Now, Fourth Elder Zhang should believe my words, right? You. Fourth Elder Zhang couldn't believe that he had fallen into the hands of a little girl. If word of this got out, it would be a joke. Chapter 50-26. The young lady's arrogance had almost stepped on Fourth Elder Zhang's head. When had Fourth Elder Zhang ever been humiliated like this? He bared his teeth and glared at Yiqing Luo. It was as if they were hugging each other. Kill her. Yiqing Luo suddenly gave a light laugh, using a gaze which seemed as though she was sizing up rubbish, as she sized up Fourth Elder Zhang from head to toe, as she chuckled, "Oh, wrong. I've forgotten, Fourth Elder Zhang's poison has acted up, I'm afraid it's true, so he can't open his mouth anymore." Saying that, she held Dmo Xian's arm and smiled. "Ah Yun, let's go." When they passed by Fourth Elder Zhang, he stretched out his hand and tried to grab Yiqing Luo's leg. But it was kicked away by Dmo Xian. His cold bone-piercing gaze was like a sharp knife stabbing down. Fourth Elder Zhang's breathing stagnated. He was in so much pain that his whole body was twitching. Save me, however, no one cared about him. Passing by Fourth Elder Zhang, they walked straight to the courtyard entrance. The two of them stopped in their tracks. Yiqing Luo raised her head, as her slender fingers lightly tapped in the air. A transparent barrier wave was faintly discernible in the air. It was an enchantment. No wonder, she felt strange. Why was it that when Fourth Elder Zhang shot Lu Sanzong, Yan Xiaoyi and the rest who were guarding outside the door, as well as that Yan Jun from the dark void hall, had no reaction at all? They were all blocked outside the enchantment. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at Dmo Xian. There was no need for words. The man had already read the young lady's mind. He put down the hand that was breaking the enchantment and took 2 steps back. Yiqing Luo shot a radiant smile at Dmo Xian. Between her curved eyes, her face was filled with youth. Then, she faced the enchantment. She pinched her fair fingers and moved her palm. A large machete with a piercingly cold glint appeared in her hand. She swayed the knife. Her fingertip stroked the blade lightly. The dazzling red glow suddenly covered the entire blade. Immediately, Yiqing Luo leaped. She raised her hand and slashed downwards. The dazzling red profound light collided with the transparent barrier in the air and let out a hissing sound. 2 waves intersected. Majestic Xian Qi surged wildly in all directions. Yiqing Luo's peach blossom robe was fluttering under the strong profound qi. Yiqing Luo felt a resistance at the end of the machete, preventing her from breaking the enchantment. She slightly increased her strength and pushed the blade even further towards the point where the barrier and the profound light intersected. The profound chi fluctuations created by both sides surged more and more intensely. The stalemate continued for several breaths. Yiqing Luo's lips suddenly curled upwards as she gently lifted the corners of her eyes. Her pink lips curled upwards as her peerlessly alluring eyes revealed a wisp of fierceness. She shouted in a tender voice. The machete in his hand chopped down. Boom! An earth-shattering shock-wave caused the ground to tremble. A deafening explosion followed. Meanwhile, Yiqing Luo's waist tightened as the man locked her slender waist and leapt away from the spreading profound wave. Sunset rain. Master Chow. Young Master Chow. Sunset rain. Several calls were clearly transmitted into Yiqing Luo's ears. The enchantment had been successfully broken. Yiqing Luo's eyes were filled with joy as she popped her little head out from Dmo Xian's arms and looked forward. She was grinning from ear to ear in Dmo Xian's arms. I broke this enchantment? She originally just wanted to try. She had not expected that she really succeeded. Great. Dmo Xian's eyes were gentle as he was not stingy with his praise. The surrounding courtyard had been razed to the ground as smoke curled up. Chapter 50-27. Yan Xiaoyi and the others were already as anxious as ants on a hot pan. At this moment, they finally sensed the profound aura in front. Instantly they dashed towards Yiqing Luo in wild joy. Muyu, are you alright? How are you guys? Are you hurt? The few young men and ladies' eyes were filled with worry. I'm fine. Yiqing Luo squirmed out from Dmo Xian's arms as she sized them up. On seeing that they weren't hurt, she silently heaved a sigh of relief. It's good that you're alright. Yan Xiaoyi and the others also heaved a sigh of relief. This was their employer. If the world group's first mission in God realm had failed just like that, not only would they smash the world mercenary group's signboard, they would also feel apologetic. After all, this young couple in front of them had always been thinking for the world group. Even that piece of jade pendant which could nourish living things, they had lent it to them without any suspicions. No matter what, they must protect this young couple's safety. What happened earlier made them a little dazed. But it also made them a little more vigilant. Earlier they were guarding Lu Sanzong's entrance well. Following that, they were lured out of the courtyard by an extremely powerful profound wave. Originally they thought that they were just checking out the courtyard and not too far away, so nothing would happen. The minute they reached the courtyard, they couldn't even enter Lu Sanzong's courtyard. They then realized. Earlier that powerful profound wave was obviously to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Luckily, they were fine. Yan Xiaoyi noticed fourth elder Jiang who was lying on the ground struggling for his life, as well as Lu Sanzong who had stopped breathing through the opened window. Her expression was a little complicated. What happened? It's just a show of killing each other. Yiqing Luo smiled indifferently. Anyway, they're all poisoned, so there's no need to bother about them. She squinted at fourth elder Jiang as she purposely twitched her lips nastily. They're going to die no matter what. Dark Void Hall this time should be really doomed. Let's go. Saying that, she pulled Dmo Xian as they walked out of the ruins. Jiang Zi jogged over to Yiqing Luo's feet as he raised his little head and looked at her. Sister Yu, why didn't you kill him? He's not a good person either. Yiqing Luo bent over and rubbed his head, only giving a smile and not replying. She did not answer. Jiang Zi, who grew up in the slums, knew how to read people's expressions, so he didn't continue to ask. However, his complexion did not look too good. Baiming Lulu held his hand and walked at the back. She raised her beautiful eyes and stared at the back of the girl who was dressed in a peach blossom dress. Her voice was gentle and comforting. Miss Mu Yu naturally has her own reasons. She squeezed Jiang Zi's little hand and said, "You are still young. Although you need to know how to control your own fate, you definitely don't need to be filled with killing intent." Jiang Zi nodded his little head, not fully understanding the situation. A group of people walked into the headquarters of the Anshu Hole. No one dared to stop him. As soon as he walked out of the dark void hole's door, suddenly, there was a whoosh sound. A cold light flashed past everyone's eyes. A long spear was placed horizontally on the path of the entrance, blocking Yi Qing Luo and the rest's path. "You've created a foul atmosphere in the Anshu Hall and you want to leave." A gloomy voice was heard from within the Anshu Hall. Following that was an overbearing and ruthless voice, "Second Elder, it's this group of people playing such a despicable trick like poisoning in the Anshu Hall and even saved that fellow Long Yun Zhan." Chapter 50:28. That violent voice, wasn't it Third Elder Jiang's voice? This Third Elder Jiang, did he look for a helper? Found a Second Elder. Third Elder Jiang and Fourth Elder Jiang's intelligence quotient Yi Qing Luo had thought that the ranking of the elders didn't seem to be arranged according to any rules. But, listening to Third Elder Jiang and this Second Elder's posture of complaining, it seemed that this Second Elder was much more awesome than him and Fourth Elder Jiang. Moreover, that deep and hoarse voice earlier. It should be the Second Elder without a doubt. It seemed that this Second Elder's strength was quite strong. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes slightly and looked towards the direction of the voice. A black shadow came at a fast speed. Yi Qing Luo and the others dodged sideways. That black figure stood straight at the place where the long spear was inserted into the ground. Yi Qing Luo turned her head to look. She saw a white-haired and white-browed old man dressed in a black suit. This old man was different from the Third and Fourth Elder Jiang whom Yi Qing Luo had seen. Third and Fourth Elder Jiang liked to wear a fluttering white robe. It seemed that this color, coupled with the robe, could more symbolize their status as elders. And this old man, dressed in a black suit, had an imposing appearance, exuding an oppressive aura from head to toe. He stood beside the long spear, then stretched out his hand, grabbed that long spear and pulled it out forcefully. The stirred up profound waves, stirred up the gravel and dust on the ground, constantly dancing wildly. This was the Jiang family's aristocratic Second Elder Jiang. Yi Qing Luo slightly raised her slender brows, her pink lips curled up indifferently. "Second Elder, this is trying to stop us from leaving the Dark Void Hall headquarters?" Second Elder Jiang's expression was cold as he stared at Yi Qing Luo. "Miss, being so arrogant in the Dark Void Hall headquarters, do you think there's no one in the Dark Void Hall?" Yi Qing Luo snorted lightly, her brows arched upwards, without any fear. "Why? Your Dark Void Hall is allowed to run amok, but I'm not allowed to retaliate. Your Dark Void Hall inexplicably issued a kill order, causing me to not even be able to enter the city. Your Anshu Hall investigated me and my husband's identity, and even cursed my father-in-law, trying to sow discord between me and the Chao clan. As the daughter-in-law of the Chao clan, how could I tolerate this? As for that fellow called Long Yun Zhan," Yi Qing Luo paused for a moment and raised her slender brows as she smiled. "Your Dark Void Hall only know how to make things difficult for me. Anything that can make you feel difficult, I must do it. What about it?" The girl's voice was very soft. However, that tone of voice and the words that came out of his mouth, it could choke someone to death. Moreover, the young girl was still smiling. Her beautiful eyes were like a blooming flower that was blooming with beauty. "This elder is not going to argue with you. Today, you must stay in the Anshu Hall." Second Elder Jiang pointed the spear in his hand, his eyes darkening. "Yes, yes, yes, Second Elder, kill them, kill them." Third Elder Jiang jumped out from the side and shouted, "She killed the great leader of the Anshu Hall. If news of this gets out, how will the Anshu Hall remain in this world?" And the fourth elder was also killed by that woman. This is totally a provocation to our Jiang family's elder group. Third elder Jiang, don't slander me. Yiqing Luo raised a slender finger and shook it lightly. The great leader was killed by your fourth elder Jiang, and, isn't your fourth elder still alive and well? I purposely spared his life. Yiqing Luo's face was calm and composed. Don't try to throw the blame on me, I won't take the blame. Seventh young miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh young miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 50-29. She had her reasons for sparing fourth elder Jiang's life. Fourth elder Jiang killed Lu Sanzong. But it was to prevent Lu Sanzong from divulging more information to her. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes slightly. Lu Sanzong said. She had something on her that the Dark Nether Palace wanted. And she had a vital role to the people behind the Dark Nether Palace. But what was Lu Sanzong's unfinished words? Fourth elder Jiang was more sensitive and his IQ was more on point. The last time DMO Xian made a move, it had already made fourth elder Jiang suspect her and DMO Xian's identity. Now that he had caught her, he wanted to find out more about the Dark Void Hall through Lu Sanzong. And the Jiang family's aristocrats, or rather, the people behind the Jiang family's aristocrats. It would only make him more suspicious of her identity and her motive. Just now, in front of the fourth elder Jiang, he had acted like a drama queen. It was to make fourth elder Jiang more convinced that she was the daughter-in-law of the Chao family's son, and also the Chao family's daughter-in-law. Anyway, fourth elder Jiang was basically crippled. No matter how strong his willpower was, he was afraid that it wouldn't be more than 48 hours. This amount of time was enough for him to pass on the news she wanted him to pass on to the Jiang family's aristocrats. But he didn't expect that there would suddenly be a second elder Jiang. This second elder Jiang looked like his status and ability was above Jiang San and Jiang Si. Now that he appeared at the Dark Void Hall headquarters, he must have specially rushed over to support them. Young lady, you know that the Dark Void Hall belongs to our Jiang family's aristocrats, but as the daughter-in-law of the Chao family, you actually created such a mess at the Dark Void Hall headquarters. Second elder Jiang's long spear turned and the profound waves rippled. Young lady, are you representing the Chao family to declare war on our Jiang family's aristocrats? Oh. This was escalating to a battle between the aristocrats. This second elder Jiang was really powerful. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly, her smile remained unchanged as she casually glanced at him and chuckled. Why do I feel that? The Jiang family's aristocrats are too ambitious and want to swallow the other aristocrats, so they are starting from a junior, intentionally trying to provoke a war between the two aristocrats. The young lady's casual attitude, but the words she said made one's heart tremble. Second elder Jiang's face darkened. That solemn and cold face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost as he stared sharply at Yiqing Luo. Why are you glaring at me? Glaring at me can conceal the dirty thoughts in your heart. Yiqing Luo's charming brows were picturesque, her voice was serene and languid, without much emotional fluctuations. Second elder Jiang was furious. Silly girl, don't be speechless. His face sunk as his long spear danced and he charged towards Yiqing Luo's direction. The long spear flashed through the air, leaving behind a cold glint. The silver light swayed and was extremely eye-catching. Yiqing Luo noticed. When second elder Jiang was attacking her, he was obviously paying attention to DMO Xian's movements. It was obvious that he knew that DMO Xian was the one who really needed his vigilance. He looked at the incoming spear. Yiqing Luo had no intention to avoid it. The slender and powerful arm around his waist exerted a little more strength. Her delicate body felt light. The man had already picked her up by the waist. Immediately after, a cold wind brushed past his cheeks. "Sister Yu, be careful." At the same time, a tender and crisp voice cried out with worry. It was accompanied by Bei Ming Lulu's flustered voice. "Ze, don't go over. Your sister Yu is fine." Chapter 50-30. Under the man's protection, Yi Qing Luo steadied herself. She lifted her eyes and looked in Jiang Zi's direction. She saw that the little figure was panting in her direction. Her big eyes were filled with worry, and the rims of her eyes were red. At this time, Bai Ming Lulu was pulling him. On seeing Yi Qing Luo safe and sound, that little human then heaved a sigh of relief and stopped struggling, as he looked at Yi Qing Luo with his misty eyes. Clearly, he was worried sick. Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but curled her pink lips as she winked at Jiang Zi, indicating him not to worry. She interacted with Jiang Zi. What he didn't see was that second elder Jiang, who was waving his spear with an imposing aura, had suddenly stopped. He frowned slightly and murmured, "Zi. What a familiar name." His vision swept past Yi Qing Luo, looking directly towards the direction where that crisp little voice came from. Jiang Zi, who was dressed in clean clothes and had bright eyes and white teeth, looked very much like a young master of a noble family. His frown deepened. "Why are you here?" This low shout. Everyone turned to look at second elder Jiang. Yi Qing Luo's slender brows rose slightly as her narrow eyes narrowed dangerously. Following his line of sight, she looked towards Jiang Zi. What did second elder Jiang mean by asking this question? Could it be he knew Jiang Zi? However, Jiang Zi was obviously frightened by this roar. He stared blankly at second elder Jiang, his eyes filled with unfamiliarity. It was obvious that Jiang Zi did not know second elder Jiang. Therefore, who was second elder Jiang talking to just now? Perhaps he had sensed that the atmosphere around him had become a little strange. Second elder Jiang's expression congealed slightly as he speedily retracted his gaze. Following that, he slammed his long spear onto the ground as he stared coldly at Yi Qing Luo. "Today, on account of the Chao family's aristocratic family, this elder shall let you off. The Anshu Hall's order to kill you will also be cancelled. If you cause trouble for the Anshu Hall again, don't blame this elder for being merciless." With that, he gripped his spear and turned to leave. Yi Qing Luo blinked her eyes. Ha! Why did second elder Jiang suddenly change his personality? Weren't they going to fight? She hadn't even made her move yet. The battle was over. Yi Qing Luo's slender fingers stroked her chin, her face unfathomable. "Looks like second elder Jiang has surrendered to my innate majesty of a king." Everyone in the world group, the profound practitioners of Dark Void Hole. Although second elder Jiang's sudden action was indeed very strange. But it didn't seem to have anything to do with her domineering aura, right? Third elder Jiang was also dumbfounded. Second elder Jiang's figure had already disappeared from his sight. Chapter 50-31. He obviously knows that only you have the antidote. Bai Ming Lu nodded. "Letting us go like this is to give up on those poisoned people in the dark void hole." Qiao Yinyan's handsome face revealed a rare worry. "Madam Qiao, what do you think?" Second elder Jiang is planning. Their mission was originally to protect the safety of the Morning Cloud's Mu Yu couple because of the dark void hole's kill order. Now that the Dark Void Hall had cancelled the kill order. But that didn't mean that the couple was safe. Second elder Jiang's operation made everyone scratch their heads in confusion. Yi Qing Luo's fingertips twirled the hair on her shoulder as she smiled coquettishly, without a hint of worry. Hearing Qiao Yinyan's question, she nonchalantly raised her eyes. Her long and charming eyes slightly curved as she smiled and said, "Didn't I say that you submitted to my domineering aura, so, you submitted." These words, "Miss Mu Yu, do you believe it yourself?" Bai Ming Lu couldn't bear to ridicule. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly, but had no intention of replying. She glanced at Jiang Ziyi from the corner of her eyes. Her charming eyes rippled with a faint light. Second Elder Jiang should have suddenly changed his mind after seeing Jiang Ziyi. Although Jiang Ziyi didn't know Second Elder Jiang, but he seemed to be Second Elder Jiang. He was shocked by Jiang Ziyi's existence. If she didn't guess wrongly. Yiqing Luo's eyes squinted, adding a tinge of treacherous danger. Her vision swept past a certain direction not far behind her. Her pink lips curled slightly, the arc was mischievous and full of evil intentions. After that, she casually retracted her vision. Her hand encircled the man's arm, leaning her head on his arm as she laughed softly. Things have become interesting. The few of them walked for several hours. The sky darkened. Yiqing Luo directly found an abandoned temple to rest. After piling up the fire, Yiqing Luo let the few of them go look for some wild game. Not long after Yan Xiaoyi and the rest left, Yiqing Luo looked at the moonlight outside and asked Jiang Ziyi to stay here while she pulled Dmo Xian out of the abandoned courtyard to watch the moon, enjoying the two of them alone. Before Yiqing Luo left, she specially exhorted, "If there's any danger, just shout my name, I'll be right outside." Jiang Zi nodded his little head. About half an hour later, Yan Xiaoyi and the rest returned with a few edible wild animals in their hands. When he saw Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian under the moonlight, his face was filled with black lines. Why does it feel like the reason why Lady Muyu sent them out to hunt for wild animals was to spend some time alone with her husband? Seeing Yan Xiaoyi and the rest return, Yiqing Luo also pulled Dmo Xian up. They returned to the abandoned temple together. Yan Xiaoyi waved the game in her hand towards the little person sitting under the firelight. "Little guy, we have meat to eat tonight, I'll let you see your sister Lulu's cooking." There was no response from the other side. Yan Xiaoyi didn't mind. She placed the game on the ground. Bai Ming Lulu was packing the game as she asked Jiang Ziyi, "Ziyi, do you have any preference towards taste?" There was still no response from the other side. The little person's silence was a little strange. The few of them frowned as they sensed something strange. They walked to the front of Jiang Ziyi. They then discovered the current Jiang Ziyi was hugging his knees with his head buried in his knees as his little body trembled with all his might. He sensed that someone was getting closer. His body trembled even more violently. Chapter 50-32. Bai Minglu's face was filled with concern as she stretched out her hand and gently caressed his head. "Ziyi, what's the matter? Are you frightened by being here alone?" Her hand had just touched Jiang Ziyi. The little boy seemed as though he was startled as he suddenly raised his head and shrunk backwards. He raised his head. Everyone saw Jiang Ziyi's bright eyes and white teeth face, which was filled with tear stains. After a few days of interaction, everyone had a good impression of this obedient and sensible child. Instantly, their hearts started to ache. They all comforted Jiang Ziyi. But Jiang Ziyi didn't say a single word as his little fists were tightly clenched. The stalemate lasted for a joss-stick's time. A clear voice suppressed everyone's concerned voices as it rang in the air above the abandoned temple. "Do you have something to tell me?" Under the flickering fire, the peach robe and jet black-haired young lady's figure was swaying so much that it looked illusory. But that leisurely voice was still soft and there wasn't much emotion in it. That little fellow who had been persuaded by everyone for half a day without any response. Slightly, slowly, he raised his head as his red eyes looked towards Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo slowly walked towards him and squatted down in front of him with a gentle smile. "Say what you want." She had just squatted down. That little boy suddenly dashed towards Yiqing Luo. Both his hands hugged Yiqing Luo. Sister, I only believe you. I only believe you. Jiang Ziyi's voice was hoarse from crying as he repeated this sentence with a sobbing tone. Yiqing Luo, who was suddenly hugged by the little fellow, also felt uneasy as she pushed his hands away. Adding on to the fact that there was a death stare behind her, it made Yiqing Luo's heart beat fast. But she moved. Jiang Ziyi cried even more fiercely as he desperately tightened his arms. She could only give up as she used her gaze to appease a certain man whose face was as black as charcoal. Her man. Even if he was just a 10-year-old child. After all, he was still a little boy. The vinegar jar could be overturned in minutes. She gently caressed Jiang Ziyi's back. Whatever you want to say, just tell me. Jiang Ziyi cried for a while before he calmed down. Her bright eyes and pearly teeth were streaked with tears. He sniffed and raised his head to look at Yiqing Luo. Sister, you will believe me, right? Yiqing Luo chuckled, took out a handkerchief and stuffed it into his hand. From the moment you chose to follow me, you are one of us. Jiang Zi lowered his head and glanced cautiously at Yan Shaoyi and the rest. Yan Shaoyi and the rest were looking at him worriedly. Seeing his action. How could he not understand what he meant? Baiming Lulu was the first to stand up. Carrying the game, she said, I'm going to sort out these things first. Come and help me. Chapter 50-33. Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled upwards as she met Jiang Zi's gaze gently, and instead of answering, she asked, Why is he looking for you? These words were considered as tacit agreement. She indeed knew that second elder Jiang would look for Jiang Zi alone. The brothers in the world group also understood what was going on. No wonder Yiqing Luo chose this abandoned temple to rest. She even specially sent them away. It was all for the sake of giving second elder Jiang a chance. Although Jiang Zi was young, but he who grew up in the slums had a quick mind. He immediately understood the cause and effect of Yiqing Luo's actions. He pursed his lips as his little fists clenched tightly as his eyes revealed some worries. Don't tell me. Elder sister isn't afraid that I will really leave with second elder Jiang. You won't. Yiqing Luo's eyes curved as she looked at him smilingly. Her voice was very gentle. I believe you, moreover. I've made the right bet, isn't it? Jiang Zi's red eyes stared at Yiqing Luo without blinking. Yiqing Luo caressed his head in an attempt to pacify him. Don't have any psychological pressure. You believe me and I naturally believe you too. Sister, you. The young man's voice was slightly choked. He wanted to pounce into Yiqing Luo's arms again. But this thought had just surfaced. A cold gaze that was as sharp as a blade shot straight at him. The current Jiang Zi was no longer as helpless as earlier, as he had calmed down by quite a bit. When this gaze pierced over, he was completely frozen on the spot, not daring to move at all. Yiqing Luo naturally knew the reason why Jiang Zi became like this. She stared at the man behind her who was emitting a cold intent. He's already badly frightened. Stop scaring him. The man in the bamboo-colored long robe leaned against the wall as he pursed his dark red thin lips slightly as he spat out a word in a tsundra manner. Humph, she looked so obedient and sweet. But that pair of obsidian-like black pupils was flowing with a sinister dark glint. It made him look like a fusion between an angel and a devil. Handsome, elegant, unparalleled. Yiqing Luo. This man, he did it on purpose. Handsome man trap. Yiqing Luo's eyes stared at him as she communicated silently with her eyes. You're such a torturous little demoness, I'll deal with you later. Dmo Xian raised his thin lips. Yiqing Luo withdrew her line of sight, determined not to let his handsome man trick make her forget the proper business. Don't be afraid, he did it on purpose to distract your attention. Yiqing Luo reluctantly found an unconvincing excuse to explain for Dmo Xian. Jiang Ziyi took a careful look at Dmo Xian, as he didn't dare to lean into Yiqing Luo's arms. He hugged his tiny legs. Under the light of the fire, his porcelain white face was filled with shame and disbelief. I think I have a special relationship with second elder Jiang and the others. Special relationship? Yan Shaoyi and the rest repeated these words curiously. What special relationship? I think I'm a member of the Jiang clan. When the little guy said this, his head was almost buried in his knees. Her two small hands clenched the trousers on her knees. He seemed to be afraid and worried. They would despise him for that. The surroundings were silent. Jiang Ziyi buried his head for a long time and couldn't hear any sound around him. His heart was beating like a small drum as he felt uneasy. After waiting for a while, he still didn't hear anyone's response. He carefully lifted his head. In front of him, under the light of the fire, his brothers and sisters were smiling at him. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Lord Overlord, please be gentle with your love. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Lord Overlord, please be gentle with your love. Chapter 50-34. Their handsome faces were filled with gentle smiles that did not carry any malice. Like a hot spring. It warmed his body and mind. Jiang Ziyi gave a blank smile as he stared blankly at the few people in front of him. Finally willing to raise your head. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly, slightly curved her charming eyes. The arc was rippling, which made her delicate brows look even more gentle and elegant. Baiming Lulu hugged him in her arms and rubbed his little head, saying, "Why are you so afraid? So what if you are from the Jiang family? This doesn't mean that you will hurt us." "Cuckoo, I am from the Jiang family." Jiang Ziyi's voice was still choking. Because of the Jiang family, Brother Zhan became like that. And it is also because of the Jiang family that there is the dark void hole. But this has nothing to do with you. Yiqing Luo was gentle and patient. Jiang Ziyi's eyes were red as tears gushed out. After knowing this news, he was completely dumbfounded. There was no ecstasy like what second elder Jiang had said. There was only endless fear and terror. He was afraid that his identity would be despised by these brothers and sisters. Fear that his identity would make them hate him. Even himself. They all hated the Jiang family. Not to mention those brothers and sisters who were harmed by the Jiang family. But now, looking at these brothers and sisters in front of him, emitting kindness and gentleness, that restless little heart finally calmed down. "Sister Yu." Jiang Ziyi sniffed and thought of the serious matter. That second elder Jiang arranged a task for me. Yiqing Luo wasn't surprised at all. What task? Early on when second elder Jiang saw Jiang Ziyi's performance, Yiqing Luo had already guessed something. Later on, second elder Jiang let them go. But he secretly asked someone to follow them. Yiqing Luo had basically guessed the entire sequence of events clearly. Jiang Ziyi pursed his lips and took out a palm-sized jade box from his sleeve. He asked me, after you fall asleep, to open this thing and place it beside you. What is this? Yan Shaoyi stretched out her hand and took the jade box, sizing it up. Then she was about to open the jade box. "Don't open," a hurried voice interrupted Yan Shaoyi's actions. Immediately after, a fair little hand grasped Yan Shaoyi's wrist and snatched the jade box away. "You can't open this jade box." Yiqing Luo lowered her eyes as she stared at the jade box in her palm with a grave expression. Everyone's gaze shifted to the jade box. Yiqing Luo weighed the jade box in her hand as a biting cold glint appeared between her brows. "What is inside? Do you know about it?" Bai Ming Lu showed great curiosity. She asked Jiang Zi to place the things beside Mu Yu while she was sleeping. Could it be? What kind of poison is it? Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled up bit by bit, the gloomy cold glint in her eyes became deeper and deeper, if I didn't guess wrongly. The thing inside is witchcraft. When the word witchcraft came out of his mouth, the expressions of the world group's 4 people froze. Their gazes were fixated on the jade box without blinking. His fingers clenched into a fist. Witchcraft. That kind of witchcraft which caused them to separate from group leader. Yiqing Luo's gaze looked towards Jiang Zi. You haven't opened it before, right? No. Jiang Zi shook his little head. Chapter 50-35. That's good. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes narrowed slightly. As her fingertips caressed the jade box, her pink lips curled up slightly. This thing, temporarily handed over to me for safekeeping. If there's a chance, I'll let Second Elder Jiang have a taste of this witchcraft goo. Yan Xiaoyi thought about how she had almost opened the jade box and cursed Second Elder Jiang with gritted teeth. Second Elder Jiang looks so fierce, but I didn't expect him to be so cowardly. Why are you playing such insidious tricks in the dark? Why don't you face them head-on? Qiao Jin comforted her in a low voice. Yiqing Luo squatted down and looked at Jiang Zi at the same level. I know, Second Elder Jiang might have made a lot of promises to you, and you. If you choose Second Elder Jiang, perhaps in the future, you will be able to live a life above all others. But you still chose to believe in me. Yiqing Luo smiled slightly, so, you don't have to think too much. No matter who you are, or what your identity is, or what you will become in future, as long as you want to stay by our side, we will bring you along. Jiang Zi's tears, which he had managed to stop with great difficulty, gushed out again. He wiped the tears off his face and sniffled. I'm not interested in what he said. I don't want it either. I just want to be with Sister Yu and everyone else. I don't want to go to some Jiang family, noble family. I don't want those promises he made. As he spoke, he lowered his head. I don't want to become a bad person. Yiqing Luo wanted to say that following them might not necessarily turn her into a good person. After all, they were not necessarily good people. But, compare that to the nobles of the Jiang family. In any case, they were considered to have a bottom line. At the very least, they wouldn't kill innocents to achieve their goals. Tomorrow, he will definitely look for you again. Yiqing Luo said, remember, don't stray too far from us. Jiang Zi nodded obediently. His eyes were red and his nose was sniffing. He looked quite pitiful. Yiqing Luo took a look at Bei Ming Lu. Go deal with the wild animals. He's been crying for so long, he's probably hungry. It was a peaceful night. Nothing much happened. After Yiqing Luo opened her eyes, she acutely sensed the rustling of the bushes outside the abandoned temple. If one didn't listen carefully, they would only think that it was the sound of grass rustling in the wind. She raised her eyebrows. She looked up and met the man's inky eyes. She got out of the man's arms and smiled. You heard it too. He should be here to check if that little fellow had followed the agreement and placed the witchcraft worm into your body. When Dmo Xian said this sentence, his voice was filled with malice. Yiqing Luo laughed softly, as her long and narrow eyes rose. No matter, this kind of child's play, it's not worth for us to put it on ourselves. Let's find a chance to give them a taste of their own medicine. Dmo Xian pinched her waist. Be careful, this is the God realm, don't play with your face till it's wasted. The disguise was to deceive others. How long had it been? The world had already been turned upside down. Yiqing Luo buried her head into his chest. Yes, I will take note. You too, so sweet early in the morning. At the side, Yan Xiaoyi and Qiao Jin had already woken up. Yan Xiaoyi looked at the two of them who were stuck together with disdain. The two people in the world group who love to flaunt their affection the most are not as sticky as the two of you. Yi Qing Luo. If she didn't guess wrongly, the one who Yan Xiaoyi mentioned loved to flaunt their affection the most was probably referring to her. Chapter 50-36. I forgot, you probably don't know what public display of affection means. Yan Xiaoyi patted her head. After all, this was a term that Yi Qing Luo had taught them. There the world group understood. The others might not. She explained, what I mean is, in front of others, it means to be affectionate. Yi Qing Luo held on to Dmo Xian's arm as she leaned her head on his shoulder as she smiled. No choice, who asked my husband and I to be so affectionate towards each other that we can't even stop it. Yan Xiaoyi and the rest covered their eyes. There's still a child around, watch your image. The group of people seemed to have forgotten about what happened last night as they were in a joyous mood. In this calm atmosphere, the wind and the waves. The group of people were ready to set off as they continued their journey. In the dark, the wind blew and grass moved. A few black figures were split into two teams. One team followed closely behind the group of people in front. As for the other team, they turned around and returned to their destination. Until they returned to the nearest city. The black-clothed men quietly entered the largest inn. Very quickly, they arrived at their destination. The secret signal to knock on the room door. After some time, a cold and dignified voice was heard from inside. The black-robed men immediately pushed the door open and swiftly closed it. Their actions were clean and efficient without any sloppiness. In the room, the windows were shut tightly. It was very dark. The black-robed men walked into the inner room and stood in front of the window. When the figure whose back was facing him stood, he immediately knelt down and greeted respectfully, "Second elder. How is it?" The man in the dark slowly turned around. He revealed a face that exuded an extremely oppressive and dignified aura. Second Elder Zhang's brows were cold and a pair of piercingly cold eyes looked towards the black-robed man, making the black-robed man's heart stop for a moment. The black-robed man's voice trembled as he spoke, seems like. The plan has failed. That lad didn't follow what this elder said. Second Elder Zhang's gaze turned even colder as his tone became heavier. The black-robed man hurriedly lowered his head. I've been watching outside for the entire night, but due to that young Master Chow, I didn't dare to get too close until this morning when they set off. I saw that their atmosphere was extremely good, and young Master Zhang's relationship didn't seem to have changed much. No change. Second Elder Jiang narrowed his eyes. That kid Jiang Zi was very timid. After he talked to Jiang Zi, that kid was so scared that he seemed to be in a daze. Especially when he heard that his parents were not from the slums. But when he was a member of the Jiang family's noble family, they were all sobbing. Chapter 50-37. Just ask him, do you want to see your own biological parents? The last 4 words. Second Elder Jiang said it word by word. His slightly narrowed eyes reflected a piercingly cold glint that was filled with schemes. If he wants to see his biological parents, then obediently listen to this elder's arrangements. After completing this elder's task, this elder will bring him back to the Jiang clan and grant him the identity of the Jiang clan's young master. Yes. The black-robed man replied with a fist salute. Without the dark void hall messing around, Yi Qing Luo and her entourage's speed was obviously much faster. They naturally noticed the little tails following them in the dark. Yan Xiaoyi wanted to solve it. Yi Qing Luo stopped her without a trace, her lips curled into a faint cold arc. Don't be anxious, let's see what this second Elder Jiang is up to. Even if they killed these little tails now, not only would it attract the attention of Second Elder Jiang, Second Elder Jiang would definitely send other tails to follow them. Rather than searching everywhere for those tails and worrying about where they were hiding, it was better to find them. Why not keep these tails that they had long noticed? At least they thought they were in the dark. In fact, they were the ones who were in control of the chess game in the dark. And the most important thing was, now it seemed, the Jiang family side seemed to have believed her and Dmo Xian's identity as morning clouds and evening rain. Yiqing Luo was trailing those little tails. Those little tails expressed their bitterness. They followed them all the way. And they had to be careful to avoid them. After all, there was a super big shot in that team. Then, those tails who had received Second Elder Jiang's order could not find a chance to get close to Jiang Ziyi. After leaving the abandoned temple, this group of people, no matter where they went, would always bring Jiang Ziyi along. Even if it was to hunt or something else. There would always be people around Jiang Ziyi. Just like that. The people in front left. The people behind followed. In a flash, 5 days had passed. The further they went, the more desolate the surrounding environment became. It was so desolate that not even a blade of grass grew, leaving only one after another barren mountain range. The little tails were getting more and more strenuous. There were a few times when he almost lost them. Along the way, the men in black used the signal flare specially made by the nobles of the Jiang family to communicate with Second Elder Jiang. In these 5 days, Second Elder Jiang had originally sent out a signal once a day. But on the 4th day, especially today, they were flare after flare. It was as if he was urging them to hurry up and finish what they were doing. The little tails finally decided, do something big. Anyway, if they were to drag on and follow Yiqing Luo's entourage, Second Elder Jiang would be waiting anxiously and they would still have to die. Why not take action now and snatch him away? At least he could complete Second Elder Jiang's mission. Thinking like this, the dozen or so men in black exchanged glances. Finally, it was decided, charge. Aya, you're finally willing to come out. The girl, who was sitting on the ground and chewing on the meat, slowly raised her head and smiled at the black-clothed men who had rushed out and surrounded them. Do you want to sit down and eat? The black-clothed men. The others didn't show any signs of panic as they continued to sit on the ground and eat their own food. Someone even clicked his tongue and said, they're really patient to actually wait till now to come out. Chapter 50-38. Sigh, I've lost the bet again. I thought you could hang on for another 2 days. Ha ha ha. You've lost. Don't forget what you promised me. Everyone had this kind of style. Even the little fellow Jiang Ziyi only raised his little head from the wild game. After taking a look at them, he lowered his head and continued to chew on the meat. The black-robed men were once again stunned. Maybe their entrance wasn't cool enough. Not enough to cause a commotion. So, they weren't afraid of them. The black-robed man poked the leader softly, that. Boss, they seem to have known that we were following them. Indeed. From the moment they appeared, these young men and ladies didn't show any signs of shock. It was totally within their expectations. The leader's face sunk under the black mask. His eyes turned cold as he bellowed, forget it, let's go first. 10 over black-robed men swiftly raised the weapons in their hands as they pounced towards them. Their target was obvious. A bunch of them charged towards Yiqing Luo and the rest. And the leader took the opportunity to pounce towards Jiang Ziyi. Aya, if you don't want to sit down and eat, you have to wait for us to finish eating first. The girl with black hair and peach-colored clothes suddenly leaped up. Like a peach blossom, gorgeous beyond compare. The moment she flew up, the bone in her hand spun on her fingertips. It flew directly towards the leader. It also stopped the leader from charging towards Jiang Ziyi's path. The bone was as swift as lightning as it flew past. The leader didn't have time to evade. The bone brushed past the mask on his face. A caw sound was heard. The mask split open. It revealed a gloomy and stern face. Yiqing Luo raised her brows as she recognized that person. Wasn't he the one who suddenly rushed up to capture her in the city, asking her to go to Dark Void Hall to detoxify the poison? Yan Jun. You guys made a move on a child, what kind of hero are you? Yiqing Luo landed beside Jiang Ziyi as she cast a sidelong glance at Yan Jun. Why? Second Elder Jiang intends to go back on his words and let your Dark Void Hall people come over to stir up trouble. Yan Jun's mask fell off and he had no intention to continue concealing it. He stared coldly at Yiqing Luo, but in actual fact, he had been paying attention to how to get close to Jiang Ziyi. You already knew that we were following you? Yan Jun asked. Yiqing Luo tilted her head. I just thought that Second Elder Jiang specially sent you to escort us secretly. I didn't expect that. Your plan was actually this. Her tone was full of sarcasm. Then, she pretended to be puzzled and tilted her head. Her long and narrow eyes curved. What do you want to do to him? He's just a child, yet you guys are chasing him to this extent. Her curved eyes suddenly narrowed at this moment. So, why did you capture Z? What's the reason? Yan Jun frowned slightly when he heard that. From the looks of it, Second Elder Jiang was looking for Jiang Zi. Yiqing Luo didn't know the truth. He looked at Jiang Zi suspiciously. It was as if she couldn't believe that such a small child actually had the ability to hide from this cunning young lady. Jiang Zi was a little scared by the stern and scrutinizing gaze. His little body moved closer to Yiqing Luo's side. This made Yiqing Luo's eyes even more piercingly cold. Looks like I guessed correctly. Your target is indeed Z. Yan Jun's face darkened as dark clouds gathered. Chapter 50-39. He was looking at Yiqing Luo's action of protecting him behind her. After some time, he clenched his fists and made a decision. All of you, try your best to hold these people back. When his words fell, he was like an arrow released from the bow as he charged towards Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo flipped her hand and was about to grab hold of Jiang Ziyi to evade. However, a sharp and cold Xian wave attacked his cheek. Shocked, the young lady took a step back. And this step back, it gave the other black-robed men who were charging towards Jiang Ziyi a chance. The young lady reacted and wanted to grab hold of Jiang Ziyi. But her hand brushed past Jiang Ziyi's shoulder. Jiang Ziyi was carried on the back of another black-robed man. After they succeeded, the black-robed men didn't continue the battle. After forcing these young men and ladies to retreat, they left in unison. The barren mountain, which was raging like a storm, once again regained its tranquility. Oh no! Ziyi! Baiming Lu saw those men bringing Jiang Ziyi away and immediately chased after them. Qiao Yinyan stopped her and said calmly, "No need to chase, he will be back in a while." Baiming Lu didn't understand what he meant. Yan Xiaoyi took a look at Yiqing Luo's direction. If it wasn't Mu Yu's intention, who would be able to bring Ziyi away? Moreover, Master Chao didn't make a move from the start. If it wasn't Mu Yu's intention. Even if Mu Yu made a mistake, with Chao Yun around, it was impossible to bring Jiang Ziyi away. On the other side, Yan Jun and the other black-robed men who were carrying Jiang Ziyi also had a strange feeling. Why did it feel like it was going a little too smoothly? Somehow, they felt that something was amiss. But for a moment, they couldn't figure out what was wrong. Until they left a distance away. Yan Jun confirmed that no one was following behind. This made everyone stop. Jiang Ziyi had been very obedient. He didn't shout or make a fuss. After they placed him on the ground. That bright eyes and white teeth, totally different from the dirty lad they saw earlier, looked at them calmly. What are you trying to do now? The little boy, with clear eyes, totally didn't show any signs of panic that a child should have at this moment. It was as if he already knew that they would kidnap him. Yan Jun's face darkened as he grabbed Jiang Zi's collar. Brat, do you know who you're talking to? Jiang Zi's expression was calm. Meeting his fierce gaze, Jiang Zi did not avoid it. Instead, he asked, do you know who you're talking to? Yan Jun was speechless. He had seen Jiang Zi before. The kid who crawled out of the slums. He was very submissive. How could she have the guts to refute him? Yan Jun's expression was ferocious as he reached out to grab his neck. However, Jiang Zi's crisp little voice said word by word, no matter what, I'm the young master of the Jiang family. You're just a dog of the Jiang family. Are you sure you want to go against your superior? His words caused Yan Jun's movements to freeze. Jiang Zi continued, even though I haven't officially become the young master of the Jiang family, the blood of the Jiang family flows in my veins. No matter what, my status is above that of a lackey like you. He smiled. Do you think that if you kill me, second elder Jiang will let you off? One question after another caused Yan Jun's body to freeze on the spot. His widened eyes were almost fierce and vicious. It was as if he wanted to skin Jiang Zi alive. However, he held back in the end. Chapter 50-40. Jiang Zi was right about one thing. No matter who Jiang Zi used to be. No matter if Jiang Zi grew up in the slums or not. The blood of the Jiangs flowed in his body. Even now, no one admitted that he was a member of the Jiangs. But compared to him, a team leader of the Anshu Hall that depended on the Jiangs, he had to be noble. Moreover, second elder Jiang was obviously supporting Jiang Zi now. As long as Jiang Zi could complete the task given by second elder Jiang, he would definitely be able to return to the Jiangs. By then, his status would rise. Thinking about this, Yan Jun hid the ruthless expression on his face. Then, young Master Jiang, did you complete the task given by second elder Jiang? No. Jiang Zi answered simply. There was not a hint of guilt on his face for not completing the task. Instead, it was as if it was natural for him to not complete the task. To hell with it. Yan Jun was patient. Second elder Jiang's patience is not good. How long do you want him to wait? Jiang Zi retorted, then try to harm sister Yu under brother Qian's nose. If you can do it within a month, I'll recognize you as my big brother. Yan Jun. As if he could do it. He thought of that sweet and obedient yet mysterious man. Yan Jun was terrified. So, what right do you have to urge me to complete the task? Jiang Zi said matter-of-factly, now that I've finally gained the trust of Sister Yu and the others, I'm afraid my task will be delayed again because of you guys. Yan Jun. He felt that this kid was playing with him. However, when she looked at Jiang Zi's small and clear eyes, she couldn't help but sigh. He pursed his lips and was too lazy to talk nonsense with Jiang Zi. Second elder Jiang asked me to bring you a message. Jiang Zi raised his head. Speak. He had to admit. He had the blood of the Jiangs flowing in his body. Even if he grew up in the slums and lived a miserable life. However, the innate sense of nobility on his body did not require any training before it could be released. Yan Jun suppressed this strange feeling and repeated second elder Jiang's words. Second elder Jiang asked you if you wanted to meet your biological parents. When the last 4 words left his mouth, Jiang Zi's deliberately stiff face was on the verge of collapsing. His eyes widened. What did you say? After completing the mission, Second Elder Jiang will bring you back to the Jiang family's noble family. Moreover, he will let you meet your parents, Yan Jun answered in detail. Jiang Zi held his breath and clenched his fists. Beads of perspiration appeared on her fair face. He tensed his body and froze in place for a long time before he managed to spit out 4 words, I understand. Every word seemed to be squeezed out from the gaps between his teeth. Recently, Second Elder Jiang has been very anxious. You better act quickly. Chapter 50-41. Yi Qing Luo sighed softly. She knew that Second Elder Jiang had some news to pass on. She also knew that Second Elder Jiang needed Jiang Ziyi's help. So she set her mind at ease to plan this. And at the same time, let Second Elder Jiang trust Jiang Ziyi more. Jiang Ziyi's earlier words were mostly taught by Yi Qing Luo. But he was after all still a child. As for Second Elder Jiang, he was obviously a scheming and astute person. He would definitely attack Jiang Ziyi's heart directly. Looking at that little person's pitiful look in a daze, Yi Qing Luo went forward and placed her fair hand on Jiang Ziyi's shoulder. Ziyi, are you all right? The young lady's soft and concerned voice made Jiang Ziyi so shocked that he trembled. He turned his head and met with Yi Qing Luo's charming eyes. That little person's face was slightly stiff. When he saw Yi Qing Luo, he was so shocked that he took a step back. After he realized that his reaction was too big, he was embarrassed and unnatural as he shifted his gaze away, not daring to look at Yi Qing Luo. Looked like Second Elder Jiang's material was a little too fierce. Yi Qing Luo didn't rush Jiang Ziyi as she directly smiled. All right, let's continue on our way. Hearing Yi Qing Luo's words, the others were stunned. But they didn't say a word as they followed behind Yi Qing Luo. Jiang Ziyi stared blankly at the back of the few people in front. His eyes blinked slightly as he felt a little sour. His nose was stuffed uncomfortably. He sniffed hard and chased after Yi Qing Luo. It was until he reached the young lady's side before he raised his head to look at her. The young lady's dainty brows were like a painting as she gave him a gentle smile. That smile, there was no barrier at all. Jiang Ziyi felt extremely guilty as he lowered his head and his voice sounded a little hoarse. Sister, you, don't tell me. You have nothing to ask me. Yi Qing Luo shook her head, but after thinking about it, she nodded. The curvature of her lips was very gentle. She said, tell me when you want to say it. It's fine if you don't want to say it. Then, if you're not afraid, I'll really. Jiang Zi bit his lower lip. His eyes were red and sparkling. Yi Qing Luo's smile became even gentler and that pair of long and narrow eyes seemed to be filled with stars, which made the young lady look even more gentle. He didn't finish his sentence. Actually, everyone understood what the latter half of the sentence meant. Yi Qing Luo replied calmly, will you? I won't. Almost reflexively, Jiang Zi bit his lips and refuted seriously. After he finished speaking, he was completely dumbfounded. Yi Qing Luo laughed lightly as she rubbed his little head. Isn't that enough? The hand on her head was small, soft, and filled with endless gentleness. It seemed to be able to easily soothe all the unstable factors in his heart. His heart, at this moment, inexplicably calmed down. All the confusion in his heart had vanished. That was right. No matter what, he would never betray Sister Rain. Even if the Jiang family's aristocrats offered great conditions, he would never hurt Sister Rain. So, what was he so conflicted about? He didn't need to think so much. Because it was impossible for him to do it. After thinking it through, the young man's eyes were firm as he looked up at Yiqing Luo, Sister Rain, the Jiang family's aristocrats this time. Used. He paused slightly, my biological parents, as a threat. Biological parents. Yiqing Luo raised her brows slightly. Is second elder Jiang planning to give you a chance to acknowledge your ancestors? Chapter 50-42. Jiang Ziyi clenched his fists tightly as his eyes turned redder. I won't acknowledge them. They had never fulfilled their responsibilities as parents, why should I acknowledge them? Since young, I grew up in the slums, I am a child of the slums. The young man's voice was filled with grievance as he choked with sobs. Yiqing Luo looked at him. After a long time, she sighed softly. She raised her hand and placed it on the young man's head as she gently touched it. I know what you are thinking about in your heart. The young man's eyes were red as he looked at her with glistening teardrops. Yiqing Luo smiled, because, in this aspect, we are very similar. She squatted down and looked at Jiang Ziyi at the same level. As for me, I don't know who my biological parents are, I have always wanted to find them. The young lady's words were soft and her voice was so gentle that it didn't seem like she was talking about her own matters. To tell the truth, as for finding them, to acknowledge my ancestors or whatever, I don't have much of an intention. What I want most is to ask my parents face to face. Back then, why did you leave me behind? Yiqing Luo took out her handkerchief as she gently wiped the tears from the corners of Jiang Ziyi's eyes. I know, you must want to ask your parents this question. The more she wiped, Jiang Ziyi's tears gushed out even more. As though he couldn't stop. Yan Jun, who had just completed his mission, led a group of black-robed men as he watched Yiqing Luo and the rest bring Jiang Ziyi away. One by one, they walked out from the shadows. Then they planned to continue following the footsteps of that group. Looking at Yiqing Luo and Jiang Ziyi's interaction, Yan Jun's heart had a strange feeling. Somehow, he felt as though he had neglected some crucial information. Just as he was about to catch on to something, suddenly, a hurricane struck. Immediately following that, a palm which was condensed from profound energy landed on his face. Pack, a crisp, extremely loud sound was heard. His entire body was flipped over, and he fell to the ground. His internal organs shook as though they were gushing out blood. Second Elder Jiang. The surrounding black-robed men respectfully knelt on the ground as they greeted him. Yan Jun was in so much pain that his body was curled up. He opened his eyes in a daze and saw an old man dressed in black standing there aggressively where he had been standing just now. The pair of eyes that seemed to be covered in frost glared at Yan Jun. Yan Jun could clearly sense the aura emanating from Second Elder Jiang's body. It was a ruthless aura of the coming storm. Second Elder Jiang. Why is he angry? Idiot! Second Elder Jiang shouted angrily, didn't you see the signals I sent you several times? Yan Jun's eyes widened, his body struggling slightly. He had seen it. Every single signal had given a response. Chapter 50-43. The signal we received was that Second Elder Jiang wanted us to urge Jiang Ziyi to hurry up. As soon as he said that, Second Elder Jiang and the other men in black seemed to have realized something. Second Elder Jiang's face darkened. You mean, the signal that I sent to you was intercepted? It wasn't just an interception. It had even been changed. A figure involuntarily appeared in everyone's mind. She was dressed in a peach blossom robe and had black hair. She was cute and lovely, but her way of doing things was arrogant and unreasonable. Sunset Rain. If Twilight Rain had been interfering with their signals from the very beginning, it would have been impossible. In other words, Sunset Rain had long discovered that the Dark Void Hall's little tails were following them. Most importantly, How did Twilight Rain and her people know the meaning of the signal from the Jiang nobles and the dark void hole? No matter how he tried to explain it, it wouldn't make sense. Second Elder Jiang's gloomy eyes darkened even more. He clenched his fist and said with a murderous aura, "What a good sunset rain. I didn't expect that this elder, who has toyed with people's hearts for so many years, would fall into the hands of a little girl today." At this point, how could he not understand? All of this was completely, that girl had single-handedly controlled the chess game. Ever since he found Jiang Zi, he was already trapped in the girl's chess game. The young girl was treating them like monkeys. A bunch of trash. Second Elder Jiang's gaze was cold and murderous as he stared ahead. Stop them first. We must not let them go any further. Why? The man in black didn't quite understand. Second Elder Jiang's expression was dark and gloomy. The coldness in his eyes could almost freeze people to death. Because the place they are going to is infernal domain. That place. They absolutely could not be allowed to set foot here. Yiqing Luo and the rest were just moving forward. Suddenly, Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes squinted as she looked towards a certain direction behind her. Meanwhile, Dmo Xian also raised his eyes and looked over at the same time. Their actions attracted the attention of others. What happened? Yan Xiaoyi followed their line of sight. Apart from the endless barren mountains, there was nothing else unusual. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian retracted their vision at the same time, as they looked at each other tacitly and smiled. Between the girl's long and narrow eyes, a wisp of light slowly blossomed. She curled her lips and said, "Looks like our main show is about to begin." The mockery in his tone was obvious. Yan Xiaoyi's beautiful eyes narrowed as she understood. The Anshu Hall has caught up. That's probably because he's already noticed that we've been up to something over the past few days. Yiqing Luo's eyes curved as she patted Jiang Ziyi's head lightly. Ziyi should have been discovered. He has no intention to pledge his allegiance to him. They had long since known that Anshu Hall's little tail was following them. Naturally, he also saw the signals that they were sending to each other. Hence, Yiqing Luo looked for Dmo Xian for help. The signal from Second Elder Jiang's side was directly changed to another signal. As for how she knew, the signal of the Anshu Hall. This was all thanks to, while she was stirring up trouble in the Anshu Hall's headquarters. He had seen it before. It doesn't matter. Before the other party makes a move, let's get along peacefully. Let's go. Yiqing Luo retracted her gaze from afar as her eyes retracted the glint. Yan Xiaoyi and the rest gathered around to discuss about the Anshu Hall's matters. Chapter 50-44. Yiqing Luo had already held on to Dmo Xian's arm as her lips curled into a smile. Looks like the other party is really angry, this time. They sent a little more people. Her voice wasn't loud. The others were engrossed in discussing Dark Void Hall and didn't hear their conversation. The Jiang family's aristocrats want to stop you from moving forward. The man lowered his eyes as he met the young lady's sparkling eyes. This lass, what she said seemed like she was afraid. But her tone and expression were obviously excited. What else could he do? Who asked this to be his family's treasure? Whatever she wanted to do, he would pamper her. Yiqing Luo was attracted by the man's words and didn't notice that when the man looked at her, his eyes were filled with endless pampering. She pursed her pink lips slightly as her narrow eyes rose as she pondered, "Stop me?" Her black as glass eyes suddenly turned and a cold glint shot out from her half-squinted eyes. "You mean Jiang family's aristocrats don't want me to go to the Devil's Domain?" Their destination this time was the Devil's Domain. Along the way, the incident at Dark Void Hall had happened. Over at Dark Void Palace, they also believed her in Dmo Xian's disguise. Why would they let the Jiang family's aristocrats stop her from going to the Devil's Domain? Judging from the signals Second Elder Jiang has been sending out recently and the frequency of his signals, he should be trying his best to stop you from moving forward. Dmo Xian replied warmly, this batch of people should be from the Jiang family's aristocrats, obviously. To stop you by force. That meant Second Elder Jiang had made up his mind not to let her go to the Devil's Domain. Yiqing Luo's mind depicted the route of the map once again. Their current position. They were very close to the Devil's Domain. As long as they passed through this barren mountain, they would reach the entrance of the Devil's Domain. Based on their speed, they would arrive in at most 2 days. So, Second Elder Jiang was anxious. And they came personally to stop her. Yiqing Luo's half-squinted eyes flashed a deep thought. The Jiang family's aristocrats were working together with Dark Void Palace. The Jiang family's actions were most likely because of Dark Void Palace's orders. Then, why did Dark Void Palace stop her, who had no relations with Dark Void Palace and Feng family, from heading to the Devil's Domain? Lass, could it be? Your identity has been exposed. Old Man Tsang reminded. Impossible. Yiqing Luo's tone was firm. If the Palace of Darkness really found out about my current identity, then not only the Jiang family's aristocrats will come looking for me, the Palace of Darkness will definitely come personally. Moreover, Yiqing Luo paused for a moment as her tone turned solemn. If the Palace of Seclusion knew my current identity, then they would be able to guess that my disguise was my real motive. Therefore, it is even more impossible for the gloomy palace to stop me from reaching my destination. Because they need me to lead them to the place they are looking for. The nobles of the Jiang family would stop her from going to the demon area. There was only one explanation for this. There were secrets of the Tenebrous Palace in the demon domain. The Palace of Gloomy Darkness was afraid that she would discover their secret. Thus, they tried every possible way to stop him. It can't be such a coincidence, right? Yiqing Luo's heart thumped. There's no need to think so much. The man's broad palm covered the girl's head, his voice low and gentle. As long as you want to, you can definitely go to the demon area. No one can stop you. The large hand on her head seemed to be infused with endless power. The girl's eyebrows were dyed with brilliant flowers. She nodded heavily. I know. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 50-45. She had always known. As long as he was by her side, he would definitely do his best to help her. No matter what the Jiang family's aristocrats were planning. No one could stop her and Dmo Xian from entering the Devil Domain. Along the way, Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian held hands and stuck together lovingly. In actual fact, they were vigilantly observing the surrounding environment. But the Jiang family's aristocrats had yet to make a move. Until night time, there were no other movements. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. They were just a short distance away from the entrance of the Devil Domain. Tomorrow, they would have to rush for a few more hours. Basically, they would be able to arrive. Second Elder Jiang had sent out signals so frequently previously that she thought he was extremely anxious. Now he came personally. But instead, there was no movement. Could it be that he was secretly harboring some bad intentions? Yiqing Luo's guess was indeed correct. As expected. Just as she asked everyone to rest on the spot. Suddenly, bamboo tubes with thick smoke were thrown out from all directions. About 10 over of them. The moment the bamboo tubes landed on the ground, a large amount of thick smoke gushed out and instantly filled the entire mountain range. In front of Yi Qing Luo and the rest, it instantly turned into a vast expanse of white, unable to see the surrounding illusion clearly. "Oh no!" Qiao Yinyan's voice sank as he shouted sternly, "Gather together, protect Master Qiao and Madame Qiao." The sky was filled with thick smoke, white fog curled up, blurring everything around. How could the crowd not feel the strangeness in this? Their hearts were hanging in their throats as they widened their eyes, trying to determine the direction of the danger through the vast expanse of whiteness. "Cover your mouth and nose." Suddenly, a clear voice, in this atmosphere where they couldn't see the surrounding environment clearly, entered their ears. The few of them subconsciously followed the instructions. "Hold it well." Suddenly, a fair little hand stretched out in front of Yan Xiaoyi. Yan Xiaoyi used one hand to cover her mouth and nose, while the other hand was stuffed into a small bottle. A very pungent and rich medicinal smell came from the bottle. "This is..." "What?" The last two words were not out. Immediately after, they felt a gust of wind suddenly rise around them. The hurricane blew the sky full of smoke, causing it to sway in all directions. A pink figure could be vaguely seen moving through the thick smoke. "This thick smoke is poisonous gas." Qiao Yinyan's voice was heavy. "Madame Qiao must have given you the antidote." "Antidote? This thing, it smells so bad, can it be drunk?" Yan Xiaoyi expressed her doubts. "Oh," a muffled groan came from the side. Then, Baiming Lulu lowered her voice, "Not good. Zi's body is too weak to withstand this kind of poison. Don't hesitate. Xiaoyi, give the antidote to Zi first." Qiao Yinyan instinctively took the medicine bottle from Yan Xiaoyi's hands. "Go!" Outside the thick smoke, a tyrannical shout resounded. In an instant, a large group of profound practitioners with majestic profound energy surged forward from all directions. At a glance, there were at least 40 people. Their heads were wrapped tightly with black cloth, leaving only a pair of bloodthirsty eyes. After rushing into the thick smoke, he waved the weapon in his hand at the few figures in the thick smoke. Crack, the weapon dropped. It plunged into a few figures. But the crowd didn't feel the feeling of a weapon piercing into their flesh. Instead, it was hard, as if something had bounced their weapons back. The few of them looked at each other, suspiciously retrieving their weapons. In the thick smoke, they fixed their eyes over there. Chapter 50-46. How could it be a few figures? It was clearly a few boulders. Boulders. A trace of astonishment flashed through the eyes of the large group of cultivators. After releasing the poisonous smoke, they were certain the group of youngsters were all in that direction. Because of the poisonous smoke, they were all rooted to the spot and no one dared to move. How did they turn into a few boulders? How was this possible? "Come back after killing them," Second Elder Jiang said in a cold voice, "and, that young couple, don't let them escape. Second Elder is indeed brilliant." Yan Jun flattered him and said, "Those brats are just a few brats after all. How could they compare to Second Elder's intelligence? This poisonous smoke enters their bodies through breathing. Once it enters their bodies, they won't be able to escape even if they sense something is wrong. Even those two kids won't be able to escape from Second Elder's plan." Second Elder Jiang was not moved by Yan Jun's flattery. He snorted coldly, his eyes filled with coldness. That couple was very strange. He could only come up with this plan. Take their lives when they are unprepared. No matter what method he used. As long as he achieved his goal, it was enough. Second Elder Jiang waited for a while. Seeing that there was still no response from within the poisonous smoke, he urged impatiently, "Hurry up. Bring out all the corpses." Yan Jun was still injured by second elder Jiang. Naturally, he could not charge into the poisonous smoke and fight with those cultivators. He could only continue to flatter him. The Jiang family is indeed the Jiang family. With just one move, you've taken care of the people who have been troubling Anshu Hall for many days. He. Suddenly, under the dark night sky, a girl's clear and melodious laughter entered their ears. Immediately, they felt a chill down their spines. Who is it? Yan Jun's expression froze. He immediately looked around with vigilance. Second elder Jiang's expression darkened as well. He narrowed his eyes dangerously. I didn't expect that a dignified Jiang family aristocrat would need to use such despicable methods to deal with a few kids. The girl's soft voice was full of sarcasm. It rippled in the air. Yan Jun immediately recognized the owner of the voice, Twilight Rain. It was Twilight Rain. She didn't die. Yan Jun quickly looked at second elder Jiang. Second elder, it's that young lady. Second elder Jiang furrowed his white brows, and a ruthless killing intent appeared on his sinister face. So it turns out that you Jiang nobles are so cowardly. You're even afraid of us little brats, how laughable. The girl continued to mock. If this matter were to spread out, it would definitely be a joke for everyone. Are you sure you have the chance to spread the word? Second elder Jiang's voice was cold and dignified, revealing a hint of cold killing intent. His expression was calm as he gazed at the end of the thick smoke. So what if you manage to escape? Your group of brothers are all in this elder's hands. Only this elder has the antidote for this poisonous smoke. Oh. Really? The young girl giggled again. Second elder Jiang is really confident in yourself, but, it's a pity, second elder Jiang, you've already lost your sovereignty. Her smiling voice was soft and melodious. Second elder Jiang's expression darkened. What do you mean? What I mean is, the young girl purposely dragged out the last syllable as she chuckled softly. A gust of wind came. Second elder Jiang saw. Chapter 50-47. A slender figure in a pink dress was faintly discernible in the thick smoke. The sky was filled with thick smoke. Behind the young lady, an ethereal aura rose in spirals. It made the young lady look like a fairy who stepped on the clouds. Unparalleled beauty. Too close. Second elder Jiang and Yan Jun could clearly see the young lady's delicate and lovely face. There wasn't a hint of panic on the young lady's face. Her slightly curved pink lips were like a blooming rose. Her eyes and brows were delicate and charming, yet they emitted an irresistible charm. It was indeed the young lady named Mu Yu. Miss Mu Yu. Second elder Jiang said coldly, "Do you really think that you can walk out of this barren mountain today?" She actually dared to swagger in front of him. This was too overconfident and overestimated herself. Or underestimated the Jiang family's aristocrats. Yiqing Luo's expression remained unchanged, her long and narrow eyes were frivolous as she carelessly hooked her finger. "I feel that, second elder Jiang. Today, I'm afraid, you won't be able to walk out of this barren mountain." Second elder Jiang sneered, ignorant. His gaze turned cold as he shouted sternly, "Go. Capture her first." But the wind blew and the grass moved. The thick smoke spread. But not a single one of the Jiang family's secret guards that he brought along showed up. Second elder Jiang finally felt that something was wrong. Instantly, his expression changed. "You. What did you do?" When he asked, his gaze fell on the young lady's crooked finger. After that, his pupils constricted abruptly, and he seemed to be stunned. On the young lady's slender finger, a ray of light could be vaguely seen, flickering. That was silver thread. The young lady's finger, hooked with a few strands of silver thread. Second Elder Jiang seemed to have reacted, his gaze suddenly turned towards the thick smoke. The direction of the silver thread. It was the thick smoke. In other words, the young lady used these silver threads to pin down all the Jiang family's secret guards that he brought along. What was going on? When did she do it? Second Elder Jiang, you're such a smart person. How could you be so stupid? The young lady's long and narrow eyes slightly curved, the arc at the end of her eyes was charming and charming. You obviously knew that I already knew of your existence, but still wanted to play dirty with me. Her fingertips suddenly exerted force. Amidst the thick smoke, there was a muffled groan of pain. Second Elder Jiang's face darkened. However, the girl in front of him smiled and said, "But, playing dirty. I seem to be better at it." Second Elder Jiang's face darkened completely, like a gloomy cloud. His treacherous sinister eyes stared deadly at Yiqing Luo. What are you trying to do? Shouldn't I be the one asking you this? Chapter 50-48. You know about it. Second Elder Jiang's pupils contracted rapidly, his eyes widened as he stared at Yiqing Luo, as though he wanted to stare through the young lady. Yiqing Luo blinked innocently, I don't know anything. Second Elder Jiang was so angry that he gritted his teeth. If she didn't know, why would she specially go to such a dangerous place like the Devil's Domain? If she didn't know, why would she go to the Devil's Domain for? Yiqing Luo seemed to see through Second Elder Jiang's thoughts, as her lips curled. Since Second Elder Jiang has no intention to negotiate, then I'll have to trouble Second Elder Jiang and these secret guards that you brought, too. While the two of them were talking, the thick smoke had dispersed along with the hurricane, gradually revealing the scene that was hidden under the thick smoke. Countless of black-robed secret guards were stuck together in different postures. They were squeezed together, face to face. They didn't dare to move, as though their bodies were fixed in place. But if they squinted their eyes to take a closer look, one could tell. Those 30 over black-robed men were wrapped with a wisp of piercingly cold silver light, like a sharp blade filled with murderous intent, about to slaughter its prey. And, according to the original plan, those 4 young lads and a child who were poisoned by the poisonous smoke were standing on a mountain not too far away, looking down at them from above. They were fine. None of them were affected by the poisonous smoke. Could it be? Right from the start, this team of young lads already knew of his plan. Did he purposely wait here? Second Elder Jiang's heart thumped fiercely. Somehow he felt as though he had been schemed against. That black-haired young lady curled her pink lips, smiling sweetly. Second Elder Jiang, why are you so shocked? Don't tell me. You've forgotten, Dark Void Hall's headquarters, how? Was destroyed. Second Elder Jiang's expression changed abruptly. How could he possibly forget? Dark Void Hall's headquarters, thousands of Dark Void Hall cultivators, were all poisoned to death overnight. Now the entire Dark Void Hall was in a mess. Basically it could be said, Dark Void Hall's vitality was greatly damaged. If the Jiang family didn't send anyone to rebuild Dark Void Hall, Dark Void Hall could only disappear from the God realm. It really is you. Although he had long guessed that the poison in the Anshu Hall had something to do with the young girl before him, he didn't think too much about it. But the girl never admitted it. Now that he admitted it, Second Elder Jiang was still unable to calm down. The poison that this young girl had used was something that even the most experienced apothecary in the God realm would not be able to identify, much less refine an antidote. Not to mention this poisonous smoke. No wonder they were fine. Are you regretting? Yi Qing Luo grinned, but it's too late to regret. Second Elder Jiang's hands, which were hanging by his side, suddenly clenched into fists. He fiercely threw out a fist wind towards Yi Qing Luo's direction. Soon after, when the dark light spread, with a move of his body, he turned around and ran. Holy shit! What was going on? You want to run now that you know you're dead? Did he not want the lives of all the hidden guards he had brought? Yi Qing Luo was dumbstruck by Second Elder Jiang's actions. Second Elder Jiang flew to a distance of 2 mountains before he turned his head to take a look at Yi Qing Luo. But he saw the black-haired young lady standing motionless on the spot, staring at him with her charming eyes, totally without any intention to chase after him. Her expression was very calm. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 50-49. But, under this tranquility, Second Elder Jiang's heart vaguely had a strange feeling. Somehow, this was like the calm before the storm. What had he overlooked? What had he overlooked? Second Elder Jiang's heart was flustered. Suddenly, he thought of something. His pupils constricted. His fleeing footsteps also came to an abrupt halt, his eyes widened as he looked at the motionless young lady behind him. From afar, he could see clearly that the young lady's slightly upturned pink lips curled into a domineering and disdainful arc. Second Elder Jiang's heart sank heavily. He had overlooked. On that mountain stood 4 young men and women. But that mysterious blue-eyed young man was not among them. Then, where was he? Second Elder Jiang had heard from Third and Fourth Elder Jiang and a large number of Dark Void Hall's cultivators. That obedient and handsome blue-eyed young man's ability was above all the elders. He was able to break through the Dark Void Hall's cultivators' defense and save Long Yunzhan. So, right from the start, he was very vigilant against that blue-eyed young man. But earlier, he was not poisoned by Yi Qing Luo and her entourage. Even the secret guards he brought along were disrupted by the movement of his abdomen. He had completely forgotten about this matter. Bam! His thoughts stopped. Second Elder Jiang only felt a biting cold wind brushing against his face. Immediately after, his body flew through the air and landed heavily on the ground. Second Elder Jiang flipped over and stood up. The pain of his body being smashed made his footsteps wobble. When he gazed over, he saw a young man dressed in a bamboo-colored brocade robe standing in front of him. The young man was dressed in brocade with a jade belt, his features were picturesque, obedient and handsome as though he was a pampered young master. But unfortunately, that pair of azure blue gem-like clear eyes was emitting a terrifying vicious aura. Second Elder Jiang's wrist flipped and grabbed his long spear as he propped himself up, young Master Chao of the Chao family. Chao Yun. The young man didn't respond. A pair of icy blue eyes glanced at him indifferently. That gaze was high and mighty, as though the person he was looking at was a useless trash, not worthy of his attention. Second Elder Jiang could clearly feel the young man's contempt. His solemn and dignified face gradually distorted, revealing an ugly malevolence. Young Master Chao, if you dare to hurt me today, before he could finish his arrogant words. The youth's sleeves moved slightly. Profound light surged and boundless profound energy shot out. Second Elder Jiang wanted to hide. But when she met the young man's sapphire-like eyes, she felt a chill run down her spine. An invisible sense of oppression made him unable to move his entire body. No, that's not right. Why did those eyes feel so familiar? It was as if he had seen it somewhere before. Without any time to think, a tyrannical and vigorous profound energy had already rushed over. The dazzling profound light almost hurt his eyes. A profound light flashed past. A heart-wrenching pain, as if his body was being torn apart by 5 horses, assaulted his entire body. Second Elder Jiang let out a blood-curdling scream as blood gushed out from his mouth. Before his consciousness fell into eternal darkness, suddenly, a thought struck him. Oh right, those eyes, he had seen them before. That was His Majesty the Emperor, His Majesty the Emperor. Second Elder Jiang couldn't believe it. He turned his head with difficulty and looked at the girl in peach robes and black hair not far away. Suddenly, he understood something. But he would never be able to say what he understood. He would never be able to open his eyes. Chapter 50-50. Second Elder Jiang was taken care of. The hidden guards of the other nobles of the Jiang family had no power to resist, so they naturally accompanied Second Elder Jiang on his journey. She was about to arrive at the infernal domain. He didn't want any more accidents to happen. He finished dealing with the nobles of the Jiang family who came to cause trouble. The group continued on their way. Yan Shaoyi stared at Yiqing Luo with sparkling eyes. Mu Yu, how on earth did you do it? How did you get rid of those dark guards in such a short time? From the moment they took the antidote for twilight rain and escaped from the poisonous smoke, only a short moment had passed. Twilight rain had already subdued all the shadow guards. They didn't see how she did it at all. Yiqing Luo smiled mysteriously. This is a secret. Of course she couldn't say it. After the shadow guards entered the poisonous smoke, Qin Changxing's expression changed. Did she use the poisonous smoke to conceal her vision and take out her glowing flame fan? The dark guards were unable to break free from the silver threads on the glowing flame fan. You still want to keep this a secret? Yan Shaoyi clicked her tongue, and then asked, Then. I'll ask another question. You shouldn't still want to keep it a secret, right? What? Yiqing Luo raised her brows. Yan Shaoyi, what exactly is young Master Chao's profound rank? They had been suppressing this question for a long time. He was simply too curious. He watched as Chaoyun casually waved his hand in front of Second Elder Jiang. He was completely nonchalant, as if he was strangling an ant. It was a piece of cake for him to deal with Second Elder Jiang. After all, Second Elder Jiang's strength, although they had never fought before. It was also very clear. Even if the 4 of them attacked together, they might not be able to last more than 10 moves against Second Elder Jiang. They knew Chaoyun was strong, but they didn't expect him to be this strong. The man maintained his aloof persona and did not answer. Yiqing Luo rubbed her chin as she looked at Yan Shaoyi seriously and shook her head. To tell the truth, I don't know either. Yan Shaoyi. The other 3, if you don't want to tell us, we won't force you to tell us. Who would believe such a lie? Yan Shaoyi had a look of disdain. Yiqing Luo. I'm telling the truth. She really didn't know Dmo Xian's real profound grade. His heart was tired. Yan Shaoyi and the rest didn't have the intention to continue asking. Yiqing Luo pulled Dmo Xian's arm, her long and narrow eyes raised. Seriously, what profound grade are you at? As your wife, I don't even know your profound rank. This is really a failure. Dmo Xian turned his hand over and clasped her little hand. I'll tell you when we reach the devil's domain. Still making it so mysterious. Yiqing Luo's little head bumped against his chest. She suddenly lowered her voice. Just now, before Second Elder Jiang died, did you notice the way he looked at you? After Second Elder Jiang escaped. She kept staring at Second Elder Jiang. Naturally, he didn't miss it either. Before Second Elder Jiang was engulfed by Dmo Xian's profound qi, the emotions that were projected from his eyes. Dmo Xian replied calmly, "N. Then, did he recognize your identity?" She saw that look very clearly. Perhaps, before second elder Jiang died, he had discovered Dmo Xian's true identity, as well as her identity. N. Dmo Xian lowered his eyes and looked at her, worried of being discovered. He's already dead, even if he knew, there's no way he could bring this news to the secluded palace. Yiqing Luo shrugged, "I'm just a little surprised that he could recognize us at the last moment." You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.